Welcome to Wine with HR. I'm Jules.
Hey there, I'm Trish.
Lawyers turned HR professionals. Through our company, Monarch Endeavors, we guide employers through their oh shit moments with their employees.
In this podcast, we will discuss some of the most common and commonly frustrating HR problems while enjoying our favorite adult beverage, wine.
So sit back, grab a glass if you choose, and join us as we think about and drink about all things HR. Welcome to this episode of Wine with HR. It's our last episode.
Aww.
Insert W-A, I know. Insert W-H-I-N-E here of season 2, which is crazy. Hard to believe we're already here. But yes, this is our last episode for this season. But don't worry, as we'll tell you about later, we've got some fun ideas in store for season 3.
Season 3? Oh my gosh.
I know.
Well, all right. But before we tell them all about that, I want to talk about our last episode this season, which is where we are right now. And this one is one you all are going to want to pay attention to because we are heading into holiday season.
Let the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
Julie, how is it possible? Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Weren't we just discussing equal pay day?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, like we did last year, and if you haven't checked out that episode yet, I would definitely go back and check out our one of our last episodes last year as well. We are going to be giving you some awesome tips and tricks to help you make it through the holiday season with ease, or at least a lack of unease.
But first,
wine.
We got to talk about the wine. All right, Trish, what are you drinking?
All right. So as Julie knows, I have not been feeling all that great this past week, but I did not want to miss out on sharing with you guys for our last episode. So I made my own version of mulled wine.
Nice.
So I started with Menage a Trois, their sultry red, which is a little bit of a sweeter wine. And generally, you know me, I'm not much of a sweet wine, but this one also is like effervescent-y. There's like bubbles. And yes, I'm a huge fan of bubbles. So it says, nothing seduces the palate quite like a Menage a Trois sultry red blend. Crafted from grapes ripened in the California sun, this smooth red blend reveals layers of alluring raspberry and rich cherry flavors wrapped in silky smooth chocolate. A life of luxury is just a sip away. So obviously very tempting sounding. So what I did is I took this and then I blended it with some cinnamon sticks, some cut up orange, and of course some clove. And just kind of I heated it really, really slowly because I didn't want to lose any of that alcohol bite that you get. And it's absolutely delicious and quite a soothing, what do you call it, tonic for my throat.
Yes.
So,
very nice.
Yes. So just a little heads up for people out there. If you're looking for something lovely to sip on this year, I would highly recommend.
Well, we will have to put your recipe in our show notes and also on all our socials so people can make their own this holiday season if they want
that's
to.
A great idea. There really is no recipe, though. I'm like my mother-in-law. I just start throwing ingredients in, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Well, you can just say what you said, which is great because it sounds easy.
Yeah, it really is. What about you, Jules?
Well, I am enjoying one of the bottles that Last Bottle Wine sent me, because you're in a different state. So I was the lucky recipient. But I am saving some for when you come to Cleveland next. So.
Yay.
But so I had it in my head that I was going to try one of the reds that they sent because it's been getting cooler and all of that. And then, of course, today it's 76 and sunny and beautiful outside because it's Cleveland in the middle of October. But So I decided to try the last white that I have from them, which is a Sauvignon Blanc, which we all know I love. But this one is from Napa Valley. Although I do love because it's from a brand called Artisa. And it says, born in Barcelona, raised in Napa Valley, which I thought was very nice. So, yes. So this one says, high on a hilltop in southern Napa Valley, Artisa Winery overlooks the renowned appellation of Carneros. In 1991, Spain's oldest winemaking family came to this mountainside facing the sea to plant new roots in its rocky soils. Today, we bring together the best traditions and innovations of our native and adopted homes to craft a new generation of artisan wines. So I'm very excited to try this. I also want to give a shout out to Last Bottle Wines. They've sponsored the last 3 episodes, and it's actually really cool. They sell 1 bottle per day. Like they get a special, and most of them have been under $20. I've been getting all the emails, and they're like fabulous finds, but because they're like the last of the stock, they can sell them at really cheap prices.
Oh, wow.
And they have descriptions that are amazing. So I printed off the one from today so I could read it, because just so you can get an idea. So this is Ernest Vineyards Eugenia Red Blend from 2023. And they say, whoa, porch pounder alert of the highest level. I know it's Monday. We're all dragging a bit into the new week. Some of us might have drunk a wee bit too much on Saturday and Sunday, but here we go.
Oh my God.
Simply crushable red blended goodness in a rich, juicy, and fresh grown style, priced to crush all competitors, of course. But what a complete joy to bang out a few of these on a Saturday afternoon in the rocking chair after a game of cornhole or mowing the lawn or really anything. $14 a bottle. So their descriptions are hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yes. And there's no minimum. So you don't have to buy 6 or 12, or you can buy 1, but if you buy at least 6, then you don't pay shipping. So anyway, really cool. Last Bottle Wines. Everybody out there, go sign up. They have a wide variety from everything I can see in all the emails I've been getting. So it seems really cool. So now let me taste this Sauvignon Blanc from Napa. Oh, it's very smooth. I like it. You can taste the soil. I can almost taste a little bit of that rocky soil mineralness.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very different than a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, but it's very smooth. Okay, so far, thumbs up. Okay, awesome. So we got through our WINE. I know that was a little extended, but we've had exciting things, so that's okay. Now on to our WHINE. So last season, in season 1, episode 16, we did talk about holidays and mental health and the stress of the holiday season and all of that. This particular episode, we're going to focus a little bit more on how the holidays impact the workplace and what you as managers and the HR team and HR professionals can do to offset some of the extra stress that can be created by people being absent more often, or more people being absent at the same time, or just, being there but not really being there because people have checked out, all those sorts of things. So we thought this was a great topic because, right about now, people start getting ready for the holidays. And as a manager, it can be really challenging to handle all of the time off requests and also make sure that certain people aren't overloaded with work as a result. As we start nearing the end of the year, a lot of people are really burned out. And so you may need to adjust things for the well-being of your team as well as for yourself. Again, I mentioned, as we talked about last season on episode 16, the holidays can be a really rough time for people. So you want to make sure that you're on the lookout for those employees who may need a little extra support during the season. But also, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that the holidays should also be a time for some fun and a little bit of frivolity in the workplace, and that's okay. So, we're going to talk through all of this and how you can make it all work. But first, do you know what time it is?
Stat time.
All right, Trish, what sort of stats you got for us today?
Okay, first of all, I need to say I love the word, if I can say it, frivolity.
Right?
Like, such a great choice. Yeah, just made me happy. All right. Now, these stats, the cool thing is Julie and I were both pulling together stats. Jules, I forgot to mention this to you. The same stats that you had sent me are similar to the ones I found in different articles. So these are the go-to stats right now. So pretty stoked. Needed to share that with you as well as everybody else so that they know that these are right on. Specifically, I'll mention the article that you sent to me because I think that one really encompassed all of the ones that I found in various other articles. And that one is for not Grinchy strategies to beat the holiday productivity slump. And so in this one, they gave us some really great stats. So here's the first one. Productivity usually starts declining from late November and continues until early January. Not a surprise here, right? When you start thinking about people are like, oh, okay, well, I have to get ready for Thanksgiving and maybe they're getting ready for football games. They're getting ready for a family. And then it just proceeds to get worse from that point on. Younger employees ages 18 to 24 are likely to switch off earlier, at least 3 days before their older colleagues. So I found that a really interesting stat. The highest levels of disengagement occur between the 16th and 19th of December. And one thing that I have to tell you guys that I thought was really, really cool is that isn't just here in the US. In the article, they talk about other countries as well that also start to decline, not quite that early, but within a couple of days after that. So it's not just us. This is a universal thing that happens. And then approximately 50% of employees in the US anticipate a drop. No, that should say employers, right?
No, it actually was employees anticipate a drop. And at least in the article that I was reading, it said, I checked
Wow.
twice. Yeah.
So we as employees anticipate, not even the employers anticipate. So we've already set ourselves up for that kind of oh boy. All right, HR managers, listen up here. Your employees are already anticipating this drop in productivity around that 15th of December. So they're expecting it. They don't even expect you to have work for them. I mean,
or they just expect that they're all going to be less productive.
Fair enough. That productivity then continues to stay low through December and January, with only 22.8% of tasks being completed during that time period, compared to 27.3% across the remainder of the year. Still not a fabulous stat. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Really important stat that we do want to talk about. There is also an uptick in post-holiday blues. Some studies even say that it affects as many as 64% of workers. I did see another one which shows that it's like over 50% of women and around 30 to 34% of men. So this is not a stat that I think we should ignore. Employees who take a 2-week hiatus from work can contribute to an overall rise in company performance of around 15%. So if you're looking for that argument to your C-suite, to your bosses as to why you should give longer vacation time or maybe even more flexible hours, like we're going to talk about a little bit later, this I think is a great way to push that through. And then time away from the office results in an 80% reduction in stress. That one I think is I mean, wow.
Yeah, we need to encourage people to take time off. Like it's already going to happen, because a lot of offices close down for a portion of the time between particularly Christmas and New Year's. But one of the things we're going to talk about, I'll just mention it now, is, this holiday season. And one of the reasons we call it a holiday season is because there are over 20 religious holidays between Thanksgiving and the first of the year. So it's not just Christmas. It's not just Thanksgiving. It's not just, New Year's. And although that may be what is celebrated by the majority of people in the US, that's not everybody. And so we always need to remain cognizant about that. But one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this is if you know that this time of year is going to be less productive, instead of stressing out about it and trying to make everybody work twice as hard while they're there or work longer hours, maybe you can adjust things to work with it and make it a time for employees to sort of rejuvenate, to reconnect with their coworkers, because there are a lot of those sorts of opportunities because it does tend to get a little bit quieter. So we're going to talk about some ideas for that. A lot of these come from an article or were inspired. Inspired.
It is almost Halloween, so it's okay.
It is, yes. We're inspired from an article from Holiday Branches called Balancing the Holidays, How to Manage Employee Time Off and Maintain Productivity. Of course, we'll have all these articles, the links to all the articles in the show notes. But Trish and I are just going to talk through some of them and the ideas that they prompted for us. So Trish, why don't you start off with one that you really thought was good?
One of the things Julie and I have talked to you about quite often throughout this last season is retention. And I think this is one of the key areas that you need to think about when you think about holiday time off. Your employees are going to be looking at you. They are going to be looking at how you respond to holiday time off requests, how you respond to their requests for flexibility, the kind of atmosphere that you create when it comes to the holidays. They're going to use all of this to decide, are they going to start looking for that new job in January? Or have you really put your, I don't want to say money where your mouth is, maybe your attitude where your mouth is, right? You say that this is something.
Or your gratitude. Your gratitude where your mouth is.
Gratitude where your mouth is. I like that, Jules. So if you really, really want to encourage your employees to stay, then start thinking about those values that you say are so important to you and put them into effect this holiday season. Give them some of that time off that they deserve. Allow them time, as Julie said, to connect with their friends at work, their coworkers, but also with their families and their friends outside of work. Whatever it is that they need to do to protect their mental health. If you're doing this, you will see, and I know that this may be, at least without those stats that we've already shared with you, this may be a hard argument to make with the C-suite. But if you can just help them see how this is going to lead to improved performance, because that, after all, is what we're talking about today, it will lead to that improved performance come January. We're really given that your employees will have this rest. They'll feel like they've been supported. They will feel valued. They're going to give you their all come January.
Agreed. I think that is a really important point because we all start January off, with what are our goals for this year, personal goals, whatever they may be, but everybody's sort of got that, itch to really make that year different and start it off on the right foot. And so if you give your employees that time and support to allow them to enjoy the holidays or do whatever they need to do during the holidays for their mental health, if it happens to be a rough time of the year for them, they're going to be that much better off for it. when the new year starts. On that note, however, one thing to think about is to make sure that your time off policy is fair and equitable. So oftentimes, it's the people who have been there the longest, who have the most seniority, get first dibs at time off. And while I completely understand that, and I'm not telling you not to do that, but what I am saying is, especially during the holidays, you've got this, you probably are going to have a lot of people who want the same days off because we're talking about specific holidays. So you need to have an open and transparent conversation with your employees about how you are going to grant time off requests. And even if you do have somebody who, is that unlucky soul who started 2 weeks ago, who's like, who's like, it's going to be me, try to find a way to give them some time off, even if it is a day off before Christmas Eve. If you give, other people Christmas Eve off, or depending, I know some people shut down entirely the week between Christmas and New Year's. Other people don't. But try to make it so that even though you may be rewarding seniority, you also want to make sure that your newer employees are not getting stuck covering for everyone. Because again, that doesn't say welcome. That doesn't say like, hey, you're a valued member of the team. I mean, like, we value the fact that you're new and we can force you to be here when nobody else is. But like, again, that may mean that they're searching for a job in January. So
almost guaranteed.
Right? Yeah. So just think about that. Also, for holiday time off requests, you should start getting them now. We're in mid-October already. By the time this episode airs, it'll be the end of October. So you want to make sure that you're getting them in early so you can try to accommodate everybody's time off requests. And it's okay to involve your team because, again, there are over 20 holidays that are celebrated during this time. And you may have people who need other days off who are willing to work Christmas, New Year's, the ones that we typically think of, because those holidays are maybe not as important to them or they don't celebrate them. But if you have a conversation, an open, transparent, and respectful conversation with your team about the holidays, usually people will work to make sure that everybody gets some time off to enjoy the things that they like to enjoy during the holidays, or to take care of themselves in whatever way they need to take care of themselves during the holidays.
I love that. Such good advice and ideas. I think going along that, we should talk about planning ahead. Now, I would say, kind of going along with that whole idea of starting in January, really think about what your next year looks like. Now, you can do that starting this coming January, but for now, is what can you do about the deadlines that you have that exist for this year? Can you move any of them? That would be my first question. Are they absolute? How many people do you need to realistically meet those goals and deadlines? I think that is a really great question, one that was posed in the article, because think about it. You say, oh, okay, we usually have a team of 6 for this. Do you really need that full team? Is anyone willing to pick up some extra slack maybe? Or maybe have a conversation and say, team, this is how you typically do things. I would like to work with the 6 of you to figure out a schedule that works to allow each of you to have some of that time off around the holidays that you so desperately want. Now, I believe Julie will probably talk to you more about the legalities around some of these things that we're talking to you about, making sure that you don't step on any toes or cross any boundaries. But for now, I'll just kind of leave that where it is. Work with the managers, talk to the managers, see how they are feeling. Make sure that they are not feeling overwhelmed. We always joke about our managers. We always say that they're promoted because what? You guys are all saying this with us by now. They're good at their jobs, not because they're good managers. And again, we blame ourselves for that. That's not the manager's fault. But isn't this an opportunity for us to show them that we support them as well? Ask them what their needs are. Ask them how we can help support them as they go through this time. And remind them that they should also be taking time off. This isn't just about their employees. Hopefully, they have taken some of our classes maybe by now, or if they haven't, you get them signed up for the beginning of next year so that they can learn how to do some of this delegating so that they're comfortable taking the time off so that you don't lose these people that you've just newly promoted. Is there any way you can front load tasks, allowing everyone then to get their time off later? Hey, are y'all willing to work a little extra during this period so that we can have more time off during this period? And Julie already mentioned your new hires around this time of year. A lot of times people will hire temporary employees for this season to allow that kind of movement of individuals. Hey, so because this person is going to have time off, we're going to have you fill in here, and then we're going to have you fill in here. But don't just do that and then have nothing for them to do. That goes not just for your seasonal employees, but also those that are newly hired. Make sure that you have something for them to do so that they continue to see their value and that they'll want to stick around come January as well.
Hey everyone, it's Jules from Wine with HR. As you know, I like wine. I don't always, however, like shopping for it. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but a lot of times I get into the store and I'm overwhelmed by all of the choices. And perhaps I don't know a lot about a particular type of wine, a particular grape. And so I look for the prettiest label or the label that catches my eye. Well, I'm here today to tell you that there is a better way to buy wine. Today's podcast is being brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you haven't yet heard about these folks, they're a Napa Valley-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one hand-picked wine per day until it sells out, often in hours, so you got to be on your toes. So, new day, new wine, always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. Last Bottle Wines tastes through hundreds of wines each month to find you only the best, most exciting bottles from all over the world. The best part? There's no subscriptions, no fees, no minimum purchase. Just a daily email with a really great wine that's sure to impress. I've already tried a couple, and let me tell you, their wines are delicious, and they're ones that I would never have found on my own. So I have already tried a Pinot Grigio from the Luna Vineyards that is delightfully light, crisp, little bit fruity, little bit citrusy. It would go really well with vegetarian dishes and probably some mild fish. And then I've also tried I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this one, but a Langhe from Le Cheche, which is an Italian vineyard. And it is a red wine from the Tuscan region, and it is delightfully fruity and a wonderful wine that would pair well with probably some meaty dishes. So for all of our wine listeners, we are offering you 10% off your next order at Last Bottle Wines. Use the code WINE, that's WHINE 10. And make sure that you sign up at lastbottlewines.com and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
Do you love news about LinkedIn, Indeed, Google, and just about every other recruitment tech company out there?
Hell yeah. I'm Chad.
I'm Cheese.
We're the Chad and Cheese Podcast.
All the latest recruiting news and insights are on our show.
Dripping in snark and attitude.
Subscribe today wherever you listen to your podcasts. We out.
I want to just reinforce one of the things that you talked about. Those were all great points, Trish. But I think the first one was the the thing about the deadlines and whether they're absolute. And and the word that was coming to my mind was, are they arbitrary? Like, who came up with it and why?
Right.
Like, was it just, oh, but we want it done by now, but does it have to be done by now? Because if it doesn't need to be done by December 31st, push it into next year. Like, don't put that stress on people. If it's an arbitrary deadline, there absolutely, I'm sure, are things that have to be done by December 31st. So we're not talking about those kinds of things.
Right.
But for all of those other things where you've got some flexibility, like, this is the time to embrace it and take the extra time. Just give people some extra time. Don't add extra stress. So just wanted to reinforce that. The other thing I want to talk about is, if you can't give everybody time off, to the extent you might be able to, now is a great time to offer some temporary flexible scheduling or scheduling perks.
I love this idea.
Right? I know. And if you've been thinking about how it would work potentially long term, again, it's a great time to try it out, because you can say, this is just for the holiday season, because we know that people are going to need more flexibility in their schedules. So we are giving this to you as an added benefit.
Ooh, don't you sound like you care about your employees?
Right? I know. Yes. So you can start with this and then see how it goes. But so some ideas could be, you could have core hours during the holiday season. So for example, 10 to 4, everybody has to be there. Before or after that, they can figure out if they want to come in early and leave at 4, or if they want to come in late and stay after 4, or a mixture of the two. But everybody's there from 10 to 4 on the days that they're obviously scheduled to be there.
No, every day.
We're not trying to make people work more. You could also let employees work from home 1 to 2 days per week, because maybe they need to be there for deliveries or other things of that nature. You can offer lifestyle PTO. Again, we're only talking about for 2 months, November and December. But lifestyle PTO, and I don't know if that's what it's really called, but that's what I call it. But that would be something like, if your employees need to be away from the office for less than 2 hours, they don't have to use their earned PTO. They get to just go do whatever they need to do and get back to the office. They do need to let someone know where they are going, when they leave, and when they return. And obviously, this is a right that can be taken away if somebody abuses it. But that could give people the flexibility if they need to go get a gift and the store's only open during these times, or they got to, whatever the case may be, they got to go pick up a relative from the airport. Whatever. This isn't they shouldn't have to explain it to you, but this would just be something to give them a little extra flexibility. And also they would have to make up that 2 hours within the same week, so it doesn't screw up anybody's pay. So those would be like the parameters you can put around it. But offering some of these sorts of things during this 2-month period are, number one, a great retention tool. Number two, really show that you're trying to support employees. And also, again, can give them the time that they need so they can enjoy this time period, this holiday season. And then in January, that's going to come back to you tenfold, because they're going to be like, that was amazing. And I am ready to give back, and I'm ready to get going and just, really go all out when January, probably 4th or 5th comes along.
4th or 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th.
Whatever.
I never want to placate people. Well, maybe you can placate me with food. I like food. But I never want to tell you, hey, bring in a bunch of food and then you can work your employees to death. But providing snacks, better coffee, some maybe a nice lunch, something like that for those who are working during those holidays or on the days where more people are taking off. Maybe again, these are your newer employees or the employees who have particular deadlines that couldn't be moved, something like that. So by doing something like that, you're recognizing that, hey, we know you have to be here. We're trying to do something good for you, just so that you know we appreciate the fact that you have to be here. Relaxing the dress code is another one of my personal favorites. If you normally require suits and ties, maybe allow business casual. If you allow business casual, maybe even allowing jeans, maybe if not every day, maybe on Fridays, something like that. And then when I'm going to go back to our managers again, because I love picking on you because I believe in you and I know how much you are all capable of. Remember, if you're going to be there, be engaged with your employees. You are setting the tone. You know, they always say it. I won't put anything in front of the it, but you probably know what I mean. Rolls downhill. Right? So your attitude is going to roll down to your employees. If they're seeing you and they see that you're engaged, they see that you're trying to make it fun, they see that you are enthusiastic about what you're doing, that you're helpful for them, that really is going to help boost the morale of those employees who do have to be there. And then if you are someone, whether you do it as a manager or whether this is HR or our business owners out there that are listening, if you are doing gifts, I want you to really think about something, even if you can't personalize gifts to each person, start thinking about something that would actually mean something to your employees. I always go back to, and even though we're not talking about bonuses and things like that, I really can't help but go back to Christmas Vacation. One of my just favorites. I have to watch it at least a couple of times every year. And thinking about Clark and his face when he gets the, what is it, fruitcake of the month club or something? Like, oh my goodness. Think about what you're doing to your employees, right? Think about what you can give them that will actually make them feel important. Personalizing the gifts, maybe around what that they like, maybe with some, maybe even like personalized with their names, maybe some sort of a coffee mug with their, I don't know, coffee mug, maybe not. I was thinking coffee because I love coffee mugs. Wine glasses. Aha. There we go. You could get them wine with HR mugs and put their name on it. Julie, I'm derailing. I'm thinking about how to personalize things. Help me.
I think there are a lot of ways. And if you don't have the budget for it, one of the easiest, most inexpensive things you can do is write everybody a personalized note telling them
perfect.
How, expressing gratitude for what they contribute to the team. And that is, it's not going to cost you anything but time, but it's going to mean the world to your employees. So I think that's a real simple one, And again, Trisha and I have said this, we say this a lot in our trainings, like sometimes people think if you're going to give a gift, it has to cost a lot of money. But it really is true that it's the thought that counts. And if it is something silly that is small, but that your employees will know means that you were thinking specifically of them, So whether it's an inside joke that your team has, or whether it's a, specific to that employee. Like if you have an employee who loves Pez candies, get them some Pez dispensers, there's so many things that you could do. Or again, something funny. Like I have gotten some of my HR clients that I work with red flags, because that's funny, right? Like you laughed. I mean, that's funny.
You used it on me.
So right, yes. And wave them in the background when they're talking to people, like just, but if you can find little ways like that to just connect. Again, what we're talking about is connection. We want to find ways, especially during this time that might be hard for some people, where people often feel so stressed that they stop focusing on connecting. We want to focus on those connections that we can make. And the other thing I just want to say to managers and HR, especially at this time, is don't forget to take care of yourself. Because if you burn out, you're not going to have anything left to give. And we need you guys to be, I don't want to say it your strongest, because you shouldn't always have to be strong, but we need you guys to be present. We need you guys to be able to support your employees. And you can only do that if you are supporting yourself. And hopefully your leaders are supporting you. So do whatever you can to also take care of yourself.
And if this is a season for you where this is the first season that you're facing and you really don't feel like you have the capability to do that, that's when you should be relying on your leaders, your bosses. Rely on HR, or HR relying on some other people in your team to be able to maybe step up and take on some of that burden for you. But they're not going to know unless you share. And we're not saying, go ahead and just, because I know some of you, you're like, I'm not comfortable. I don't want people to know my business, but you can do this without sharing your full business. This is what I want to do for my team. I'm just not feeling fully capable, wondering if you can help me, I think would be a great way to say it.
Yes. And I am just going to put this out there because I agree with what Trisha just said. You don't have to tell anybody anything you are not comfortable sharing. But being able to say to your team, and again, you don't have to share anything beyond what you're willing or comfortable to share. But being able to say to your team, you know what? This year is rough for me for a number of reasons. And I am asking for your support. And I am going to give you as much support as I can give you. But if I seem a little bit off, that's why. It has not. That to me is such a sign of leadership.
Oh, agreed.
And such a sign of strength.
Agreed.
We have to get rid of this notion that in the workplace, you are not allowed to show emotion or quote unquote weakness. I wish we could erase that term from our vocabulary.
Because it's strength. To be able to share and show, that's strength.
It is. It is. And if you are having a hard time, as somebody who has been through those times, that the best way to get through them is to let other people in. And it is scary and it seems weird. And especially, I get it. If you're in a leadership position, you're like, but I'm supposed to be the strong one. I got to be it's not about that. Because again, it's a sign of strength. But you're also showing your employees that they can then come to you if something's going on with them. And you're opening up that conversation and that path for people to be able to come forward and say, you know what? Yeah, things aren't great right now. I need a little bit of grace. I need a little bit of space. I need a little bit of, can't think of another word that rhymes with those two, but
That also reminds me, did you get a chance to see that thing that Will sent us today about the leadership?
I have not yet. No, I have not yet.
So good. And it fits so perfectly right here.
I saw it with Simon Sinek and I love him. So I knew it was going to be good. So I've just been waiting.
Oh, good. Awesome.
until I had time. So, but you can spoil it.
Okay.
Since you brought it up.
Right, and we can attach it too in our show notes so people can go see it. But basically he's talking about leadership, and there's this idea of performance versus trust, and talking about the best leaders. And this is all I'm going to say is that what they talk about is like SEAL Team 6 and choosing who the best leaders are. And basically, it's not always those who have the best performance as we think about it from an output perspective. It's those who you would trust. So that's all I'm going to say is it's all about trust. And by sharing this information or sharing some vulnerabilities, I believe that you do increase people's trust because you're willing to trust them and say, listen, I'm going through something this year. I want to be there for you. I want to do this, but I'm not sure I can. And that kind of vulnerability, again, builds trust. So we will put that in the show notes so everybody can go watch it. And Julie, you have to watch it when we're done.
I will. And the last thing I want to say, we've mentioned it a few times, but there are a lot of holidays, over 20, that happen between Thanksgiving and January. So one of the things we just need to be mindful of is that when we are having holiday celebrations, when we're letting people decorate their cubicles, when we're doing all those sorts of things, we just need to keep in mind that we don't want to make it Christmas focused, right? It's for all holidays. Now, we also don't want people to have to feel like they have to explain what holidays they're celebrating or what that holiday means. This is for people, we want to give them the space to celebrate what is important to them during this time period in whatever way they feel comfortable doing so. So just as you are planning things, just keep that in mind. Because again, you don't want to have call it a holiday party that's supposed to be inclusive of all holidays, but everybody has to dress up as an elf or a reindeer or Santa Claus, which, by the way, none of those are religious, but they've started becoming
dying over here.
So we want to be mindful and we want to find ways for everybody to participate in ways that honor their traditions, that honor their cultures, and that honor their religions. So just parting words, be mindful and try to be as inclusive as possible. Do not require them to show up for parties or to decorate things or to bring a gift. We don't know what people's economic or financial situations are. We don't know what people's religious beliefs are. We don't want to get into a situation where we're making people do things that don't feel authentic to them. So again, just be open and inclusive, but make it fun, make it voluntary, and make it an opportunity for people to share what matters most to them.
I love that. Jules, I'm afraid that you're not done, though. That is not your final word. Because I mentioned earlier that for those of you who are thinking about doing these temporary holiday time off policies or something like that, you want to make sure, again, that they are, as Julie was just talking about, inclusive. But please, please, please make sure that they don't run afoul and get you in trouble with the Civil Rights Act. We do have those protected characteristics out there, and you most certainly do not want someone to say, well, they didn't give me time off because of this or because of that. So Jules, can you speak to just a couple of little tips from your experience of how they could do that?
I think that the biggest thing is just, as you just mentioned, remembering what those protected characteristics are. So again, there are a ton of them, but the main ones are race, color, gender, which includes sexual orientation and gender identity, national origin, religion, age, veteran status, pregnancy.
I lost count. I was counting them as you went, and then I got disability. There you go.
Disability. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Anyway, we have talked about them a bunch, but we've got Title VII, genetic information. We've got the Age Discrimination and Employment Act, all of our medical laws. So you just want to make sure that, again, as Trisha pointed out, you aren't doing things that could possibly be seen as singling out a particular group or excluding a particular group. So the biggest one around the holiday season, I would say, is probably religion. We want to make sure that we are not, again, focusing solely on Christianity or those types of religions that celebrate Christmas, because there are a lot of other religions. There are also a lot of other cultures that celebrate cultural holidays during this time period. So national origin and religion are probably the two biggest protected classes to watch out for during this particular season. But as long as you are being inclusive, so I think one of the questions to ask yourself when you are planning something is, are we allowing for people to celebrate things other than Christmas? Are we allowing for people to celebrate things other than Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas Eve and, the ones that we typically think about? And if we aren't, or if it does seem to be very Christmas focused, how can we make it less so? How do we make room for people to celebrate other holidays? And if you're like, I don't know what the other holidays are, there's this fabulous thing called Google.
Google.
That can give you information. What I don't want you to do on that point is turn to some of your employees who celebrate other holidays and be like, explain this to me. Not their job. Not their job.
No.
What we are asking you to do is make space for them, again, to celebrate what is important to them during this season in a way that is authentic to them. It is not their job to educate everybody about other holidays that exist.
And this goes to inclusivity all year round. What a great way to start it for next year.
Yes.
On that note, how is your wine?
Well, my glass is almost empty, so it's pretty good.
Excellent.
You know what? I'm really enjoying it. And again, I'm always a little skeptical of California Sauvignon Blanc, but I really do like this one. But I think it's because of that rocky soil. Because I can really, it's going to sound weird because it's a white wine, but it's very grounding.
Oh, interesting. I'm really starting to learn more about Spanish wines. So that is one that I want to check out.
I will send you a copy on the label.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate that.
How's your mulled cider?
It is
wine. Sorry.
No,
wine.
Most people do have mulled cider, but mulled wine, it's delicious. Look, you can even see. Can you see wait, there. There. See?
Yes.
You can see the cinnamon stick and the orange, a little bit of clove floating in there.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's definitely been soothing for the throat as we've gone.
Therapeutic.
Therapeutic. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on our last episode of season 2.
Oh, my gosh.
However, as I said, never fear, because we are going to be hard at work over the next few months, figuring out ways to make Wine with HR even better. We are looking for ways to better engage with you, our fellow winers. And we are hoping to even start offering some merchandise so that you can proudly proclaim to the world that you are a winer. I love it. So enjoy your holidays and get ready for the best season of wine yet in 2025. As always, we thank you so very much for listening to us. We appreciate you, and we wish you whatever you need in the closing months of 2024, whether that's peace, joy, rest, resolution, time with loved ones, or multiple bottles of wine. We hope that you get whatever you need and take care of yourself the best you can. And we will see you in 2025.
Cheers.
Cheers.